you guys hear the Freedom story?
No.
Freedom. Here we go. You guys ready for this? You didn't hear this one, Ian?
Just going nuts right now.
Fox News. Kamala Harris repeatedly told Freedom story, now facing plagiarism accusations. I won't waste your time, friends. I'll give you the simple version before reading this. She apparently did an interview where she said she was at like a civil rights march when she was a toddler in a stroller and fell down. And then her mom saw her fussing and said, "What do you want?" And she goes, "Freedom." Yes. And then everyone clapped. That happened. And then apparently this was plagiarized off of a Martin Luther King Jr. story where he said he saw a little girl at a civil rights march giving, fuss, and a white cop said, "What do you want?" And she goes, "Feed 'em." So look, if you told me a little kid yelled something they heard their parents yell and they struggled to say it properly, I believe it. I do.
I want to know.
But Kamala Harris, she said, I remember I was 1 year old and I was in a stroller and I yelled "Freedom." Sure you did.
See, I want to know if she actually remembered it, right?
Like she actually thought it was her,
or like if see, there's three scenarios here. Either she completely plagiarized Martin Luther King, which is possible. That's the most likely scenario. The second is that she remembered saying that, or her parents told her that's what happened, and either it happened or they read the article and then they just kind of.
I have some ideas, but let me read this. So Fox News reports Kamala Harris had previously told the anecdote about her younger self crying out for freedom. That's WFEEDOM, which has sparked accusations of plagiarism in her books. Quote, "My mother used to laugh when she told the story about a time I was fussing as a toddler. She leaned down to me and asked, 'Kamala, what's wrong? What do you want?' And I wailed back, 'Freedom,'" Harris wrote in her 2010 book, Smart on Crime.
Okay.
Harris also detailed her younger self demanding freedom in her 2019 book, The Truths We Told. Apparently appropriated an anecdote. Amazing, right? An anecdote first told by civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr. when she was interviewed by Elle magazine for a feature that was published October at the height of the 2020 presidential race. Harris has repeatedly boasted of her parents' involvement in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. In the Elle interview, she recalled accompanying them to marches as a toddler. Here we go. Here's the story. Senator Kamala Harris started her life work young. Writer Ashley C. Ford led off the piece. She laughs from her gut the way you would with family as she remembers being wheeled through an Oakland, California civil rights march in a stroller with no straps with her parents and uncle. At some point, she fell from the stroller, and the adults caught up in the rapture of the protest just kept marching. By the time they noticed little Kamala was gone and doubled back, she was understandably upset. "My mother tells the story about how I'm fussing," Harris told the magazine, "and she's like, 'Baby, what do you want? What do you need?' And I just looked at her and I said, 'Freedom.'" After the interview resurfaced Monday, Twitter user Engels Freddy and Andre Domis, contributing editor of the Canadian publication Maclean's, noted that Harris's story resembled one told by King in 1965 interview published in Playboy. Maybe Kamala Harris is trying to make it seem like he was talking about her, like Martin Luther King Jr. was telling a story that was about her.
I'm going to err on Kamala's side on this one because I think a lot of people in the 60s wanted freedom, and a lot of people said that around their kids, so the kids just repeated them.
Yeah, well. So I think that at this point we have to say that we know two things for sure. One, nobody read Kamala Harris's books.
Right, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Because otherwise this would have been amazing Oppo research for any Democrat.
It would have come out a long time ago.
It would have come out a long time ago.
It was 2010 she wrote this.
Yeah.
The book was 2010.
Nobody read those books.
Yeah.
Did you read those books? I didn't.
I didn't know they existed.
And also, I'll point out, the one thing I can say is factually true, but is framed not so well, is when the writer says she laughs from her gut the way you would with family. Yes. Kamala Harris laughs at inappropriate moments. Like there was one where she was being called out. I can't remember why. I think she was being called out for criticizing Biden as racist. And she's like, and then she just stops and she's just staring, smiling like this weird grin. And it's like, stop laughing. This is inappropriate. Yeah. Not the time. But she laughs. It's weird.
Or when she was confronted about supporting Biden when she was viciously attacking him before. Same thing.
It was a debate.
It was a debate, yeah.
But she also, in that interview, it was the one like right after they were officially nominated, she said, "It's a distraction." Like, no, it's a thing that happened.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the thing that happened, or you want to just write it off?
Did somebody tell Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, if you're ever asked a question, just laugh for no reason? Because they both would do it. I'm serious.
They're bought off and they're nervous.
I don't know about that. I think, look, I'll tell you why maybe Kamala Harris said this freedom story. She's got narcissist. I think she's a narcissist. I think she's an arrogant, authoritarian narcissist. And when she, look at Joe Biden's plagiarized how much? Oh, so no,
a lot.
It's no surprise to me. Even Build Back Better's not his. Isn't that hilarious?
Right.
Yeah. Nope. This is original for Kamala, and I really want to say this because this is something that I just discovered. So the last Civil Rights March was in 1963. Kamala Harris was born in 1964. If you'll recall her details about being in college and listening to, who was it? Tupac?
Tupac,
No,
yeah.
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg she was listening to. Tupac
you
is the last surviving rapper that she likes.
You said the last Civil Rights March was
This
1963?
would be before she was born. Yes,
wait,
this is my point.
what was that Civil Rights March?
I think that was the march on...
Damn, it died with the
I
king.
think it was Martin Luther
When
King
did Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah,
die?
I think that was 63.
63?
Yeah.
64?
63, I think. Yeah.
No.
Could it have been?
No, he didn't die the same year that JFK died. No, he was like 68, I think.
Okay.
That does
I
sound
might
right.
be.
Hey,
That's a good
I
story.
mean,
But
You
yeah.
guys know that
there were
story?
civil rights protests happening forever. I mean,
Sure.
I know she's trying to make it seem like it was the civil rights movement.
Right.
But there were a bunch of, there's always protests for something.
But why do you tell that story? Repeatedly
So
because
weird.
you want to, because you're narcissistic, obviously, but you also want to say, I've been. I
when
knew as a child that I wanted to fight for
I
civil
question
rights.
your
Well, whether it's
Listen.
Brian Williams, Hillary Clinton, they always lie about so many different
Yeah.
events, so many different things. And building on top of what
Biden.
you were saying specifically, she was described as a ruthlessly evil human being when she was a prosecutor in California. I mean, the stories that come out of her knowing people are innocent, ruining people's lives knowingly just to get ahead. She will do anything to get ahead, literally and figuratively.
She was keeping people in prison beyond their parole to use them as cheap labor to put out fires, no less.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when I was 3 years old and I ran into a burning building to save a bunch of puppies because it's just what a hero does. And I can't believe Kamala Harris would ever say something so egregious and exaggerated.
Another thing that people,
Everyone clapped, by the way.
Another thing that
You got the
people-
Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I did, twice. Yeah. Yep.
Another thing people need to realize is that prosecutors are rewarded when they have a high win case
That's
and not
insane.
many loss cases.
It makes
This
sense.
is a totally horrible system. Bill Hicks had this skit about marketers and what they should do to themselves. I think that should be definitely translated
Can't
to.
say it, though.
And I'm not saying it. I'm just saying he had a point. Maybe it could be brought over to some prosecutors. But that's a
But
system, by the way.
That was Bill Hicks, right?
Yeah.
It was before he started InfoWars.
Yeah, before.
Before the male vitality.
Yes.
Okay. But when we look at the prosecutor system here, there is something that does deserve to have a legitimate conversation. We do deserve to talk about these issues because there are injustices, just like with Kamala Harris when she was prosecutors. There are problems within our legal system that do need to be addressed, that some of these protesters want to change, but they don't understand their movement is being hijacked by those individuals that literally make the system as bad as it is.
Two
So-
plagiarists, Joe Biden. It's like one of my favorite memes is it's like 50 years in Congress and it's a picture of Biden and it's like how long has Kamala been in, like 10 or so? It's like you got Schumer,
2016.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
Oh, as a senator, you've got Nadler, Schumer, you've got Pelosi and Biden, and it's like decades in Congress. Now's the time they're gonna fix everything.
Yeah.
Everything else was just a dry run. All right, they were there getting practicing a little bit, sharpening their axe before they were getting ready for that timbering. Now is the time, finally. So that's
The
why.
planets have aligned. You just don't get it.
Yeah. It's
It's
just
the
not the right
time. It's just the
moment.
right moment. It's our moment.
I feel like when Atlantis got flooded, sorry, this is a bit of a segue, but I'm bringing it back.
You
I'm
don't
bringing it
say.
back. The entire world
Don't say.
got wiped out and reset. Okay, before Atlantis got flooded, Atlantis was the giant kingdom that ruled the earth. Apparently, they had circumnavigated the globe. There was
Assuming Atlantis is real.
and northwest Mauritania. Atlas, the king of Mauritania.
well, Joe Biden
Do we
said, "Oh,
need-
we could just ask him."
Do we need
Yeah.
another reset like that for this system? Because I want to change it. I
Wait,
want to
wait,
get
hold
these
on,
politicians out of there.
Ian, are you
No.
saying Noah get the boat?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Can we fix this human system without something like that happening again?
I don't know. To be honest, that's why the people want to push the Great Reset.
Yeah, it sounds like a great reset.
The Great Reset people are like, how do you stop everyone just kind of eating themselves to death and mass producing garbage. So the problem is whenever you have someone who believes they're morally right, they know everything, and thus you need to purge or erase or do something to other people. It never works out right. And why should I trust these people who are claiming all this bad stuff's happening and we need to make these changes? Like, so if you came to me and said, maybe we should have some kind of hard reset, I'm like, I don't trust one person to make that decision.
Well, what do you do? Get all those people out of office, first of all. Nadler, Schumer, Pelosi, these crazy Mitch McConnell,
there's a
40-year-old.
Well, there is a famous philosopher who had, I think, some really great ideas. He was a French philosopher. His name was, what was it? It was Robespierre. Robespierre.
That
guy.
I've been studying the French Revolution heavily in the last few days. And,
so for those that don't
also
know,
the Nazi Revolution.
do you know who Robespierre is?
Isn't he a rapper?
No.
But there should be one called Robespierre.
So if you don't know much about the French Revolution, he was the guy who went nuts and was just like, remember, you ever see the episode of Simpsons where Mr. Burns sings "See My Vest" and he's singing about all the animal parts he has for his clothes and he's dancing, he's really happy. Replace animal clothes with beheading random people, and that was Robespierre. Dancing around, singing in the French Revolution, and then finally, when people realized, like, yo, this guy's kind of killing too many people, they were like, they killed him to stop it all. They were like, oh, this guy needs to die.
They blew his jaw off and let him rot, like lay there for 3 days and suffer to die. It was horrible the way they hated him.
I was kidding about him having good ideas.
He was this young, really lovable lawyer. I think he was a lawyer, and all he wanted was freedom and democracy for the people. People loved him at first, and he was such a good guy, and he went crazy from the power.
Just killing people like crazy.
I think people just didn't realize he was a lawyer. And then when they found out, then they were like, this guy's got to go.
Like, wait, he's a lawyer too?
So, like, I could see if there's a danger of becoming that guy. Yeah, there's of being like, we got to get rid of all that so that we can do something new. And so that
but you know what? You know what the scary reality is for zealots. It's true. Robespierre wanted something that couldn't exist so long as people opposed him. So he said, "Kill those who oppose me," and then they killed him because he was killing too many people. But with any one of these authoritarians or these despots, people like Kamala Harris, for instance, they have to get rid of those that are obstructing them, and they have no morals, they have no ethics. They'll say whatever, do whatever, and they'll take power. And then they'll laugh on camera when asked about it for no reason. You have to wonder why they're laughing. It's kind of weird.
But a lot of it has to do with, fine, like we're smart people. We know that these people are useless and they're liars. And okay, but then you look at somebody like, say, Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who is elected year after year after year. What has she done for her district? Nothing at all. And she's anti-Maxine. And people are like, oh, we love her. Like, why? What has she done for you?
Nothing.
It's the same thing with AOC. She had this list of accomplishments. Like, well, I had a bunch of town halls and I had like 6 amendments and I introduced a whole bunch of bills that didn't even see the House floor, but I was doing really important work. It's like, no, you weren't. You weren't doing anything.
You know what I would do if I got elected to Congress? I would just disrupt like crazy.
Tiny gavel.
It would just be tiny gavel, banging it nonstop, screaming during sessions. They'd have to remove me.
Filibuster nonstop.
Yeah, just
put
everything.
Put on some
You'd bring,
diapers.
Dude, I would sleep all day so that I could filibuster all night. They'd have a bill where, like, we would like to read in a post office, and I'd be like, I'd like to sit here and read the entire 5,500 omnibus bill before we move forward. It's my time.
I would park my RV right outside Congress and just show up in my bathrobe and just
there's dress code.
Isn't there really?
Yeah, there's dress
code. I'd get kicked out in a heartbeat. Isn't there a congresswoman that was just elected that is also planning on bringing a firearm?
Lauren Boebert.
Yes.
There's a freaking dress code, dude.
There's dress code, and so Boebert wants to bring her concealed Glock, but you can't. There's an exception where members of Congress can bring an unloaded weapon in a case to their office, but you can't bring it into the chamber. And
I see this House rules changing in 2 years.
You know what's kind of crazy though is so right now we have this big protest coming to D.C. and Trump supporters. You know what they're posting on forums? They said they're advocating for bringing weapons to the event. Because they said the worst case scenario is you gain legal standing in a constitutional lawsuit against D.C. for infringing on the right to bear arms.
Wow.
That is a bold statement.
That's
seriously bold statement.
Yeah,
but that's like the rhetoric coming from a lot of people who are showing up in D.C. is no joke. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., so come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.